Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of PRL Plays Podcast. Well, I guess it's just Phoenix Rising Plays Podcast now. We'll cut the Phoenix Rising. Everyone knows where they are. So, how are you guys doing today? I'm of course joined by Alex and Smax. Gentlemen, how are you guys today?
I'm good. I'm really happy with how the quarterfinals went, and I'm really excited to get into the semis.
Absolutely. Alex?
Yeah, it's another beautiful day on Plays Podcast. Getting ready to talk about how these quarter games went.
It's snowing
Absolutely.
where I am.
Is it really?
Is it? Oh,
Yeah.
I'd love to be there, dude. All right,
I can move the camera if you want.
No.
Yeah,
We're good.
please. We need some nice scenic.
Meanwhile, me and Alex are dying in Florida from all this heat
Yeah.
stroke.
I'll just rotate my desk so you can see the snow behind me.
All right, sounds good.
Cool background, bro.
All right. So, a couple quick announcements before we jump into the recap of this last weekend's matches. First and foremost, of course, Aphelios comes out this weekend. He will be disabled for the duration of semifinals and finals due to our rework / new champion rule that we have here in Phoenix Rising. In addition, Draven will be disabled due to the fact that when he starts throwing his axes and stuff like that, I think it's around like 2 minutes into the game, his particles disappear to the point where you can't see his axes where they're going to land or any of his abilities whatsoever. And finally, the pairing of Tom Kench and Caitlyn is also going to be disabled. We're not going to be allowing those two champions to be paired up together due to the fact that kitty tail. Due to the fact that when Tom Kench eats Caitlyn, Caitlyn then becomes invisible. So I know this is driving Alex insane right now. But yeah, I mean I think that's about it for announcements. Other than, of course, we have the Teamfight Tactics tournament and the 1v1 tournament, so make sure you guys are signing up for that. Most of those proceeds, I don't remember the exact percentage, are going to be going to St. Jude's Hospital or another charity as well. I think there's two charities that we're sending them to. So with that being said, though, that's going to do it for announcements. Let's go ahead and jump into the quarterfinals.
We got one more. So you guys may have seen the picture there, and you saw on Thursday there was Smax down. Now, I don't actually have anything planned for that, so we're just turning that into a live episode of the Plays Podcast. If you guys have seen Travis Gafford's streams on his Twitch, where he does Hotline League, it's going to be a very similar thing to that. So we're going to have a Discord call set up where you can join and ask your question and discuss with us there. And it's going to be live on Thursday. So we're going to have it on, I think it's just going to be on the Phoenix Rising League Twitch channel. Correct. And it's going to be for about 2 to 3 hours. We're going to do a live episode specifically about the finals, but I'm sure we can get some more like meme questions in there or anything, because it's mostly just going to be about you guys coming in and discussing with us. So that's going to be really, really exciting. I'm looking forward to that one. It's going to be on Thursday, December, I'm going to cheat and look.
18th.
19th.
Oh, 19th.
Is the Thursday. So that one's going to be really exciting. But that's the only announcement I have.
he ruined my surprise, man. I was gonna let the crowd be surprised by that one, but all right. Like,
I already announced it on the stream, so
okay. All right.
on Sunday. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's fine then. All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump into the quarterfinals recap then. So, what were your guys' initial reaction from at the end of quarterfinals?
I was really pleased with a lot of the teams that showed up. Even one of the teams that lost, I was really, really happy with how the series did go. And I can get more into which one that one is. Of course, you guys probably already know because most of them were pretty one-sided. But I was just really, really happy with the level of performance here. Like we were talking about from round one into quarterfinals, some of the teams that even won, we were a little bit disappointed with and we thought were going to be pretty shaky. And this one was a lot better, I think. Especially the first seed teams coming in looked really, really good, and it looked like they did do a lot of prep. And that's something that I really appreciate for teams, is prepping on the new patch, because it was preseason, of course. Mm-hmm. And I'm just really, really excited to see all the teams going into playoffs, because I was really impressed with all 4 of them.
Mm-hmm. Well, Alex, what about you?
Yeah, we definitely had the ups and downs of quarters week. I know some of the games were like super hype. Some of the games were like, all right, I could have missed it. But at the end of the day, I think that we got to see some really good gameplay and got to see what like a little bit of the future coming for some of these matchups, and it's really exciting to see how these teams are going to butt heads.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm super excited to see, especially these two semifinals matches that we have, and then regardless of which two teams make it into the finals from there, it's going to be a barn burner. But yeah, I mean, we still have to talk about these 4 games that just occurred. Let's of course go in canonical order, which would of course be Team Fish Taco versus Zephyr. So I know a lot of people were fairly disappointed with how critical I was of Zephyr after their round 1 win, in which they went 3-0 over Famous Gaming. But I gotta say, like, I mean, it kind of lived up to what I was expecting after everything I had said. I was disappointed to see Zephyr get 3-0'd. I wanted to see them show some signs of life and at least take a game. But overall, they definitely improved from their round 1 playoff, but nowhere near enough to take down Team Fish Taco.
Yeah, it was a really rough series, and honestly, it just gives testament to how good Team Fish Taco is. They did come out of the Mine Division, and the 3rd seed from the Mine Division got 3-0'd by Zephyr. And then for Zephyr to come in and get 3-0'd by Team Fish Taco, it's pretty crazy the difference in the skill for the Mine Division, and it definitely shows why Team Fish Taco was so hyped and why, like, all 3 of us did predict them to win this series, and they did it even more dominating than we were expecting. We all expected a 3-1, but it was a 3-0. So they just like completely crushed Zephyr here, and it was really, really impressive to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we and the 3-1 was mostly due to the fact that we thought that Zephyr would be ready with the patch update to be able to play at a level similar, at least in one of the games. But what we saw was the falter of Zephyr not having a good enough bot lane to make it through against Indigo and Furious Doctor. Furious Doctor just being a monster with prop on the map, roaming around, getting leads. And then we didn't see the usual top side of the map focus when we look at Zephyr. That's, you know, we got Weedrum, we got Akata. That's the 2 you look at to carry these games. And we didn't see that.
Yeah, no, we really didn't, and it was super disappointing to say that because, you know, we really wanted to see Zephyr showed up. We really wanted to see a really competitive series between those 2 teams, but Zephyr just really wasn't able to live up to the potential. Oh my God, I'm dying. The potential
Zephyr,
they showed. Zephyr was not able to live up to the potential that they showed during the regular season.
Yeah.
And it was really unfortunate. You know, we all had really high hopes for Zephyr moving into the playoffs, but unfortunately just couldn't buy into their own hype.
Yeah, I think the biggest factor here is that Indigo went deathless in this series. He didn't die a single time. He's the only player in playoffs to not have died at all in the entire tournament so far, or at least the bracket stage of the tournament. Of course, he does have the advantage of being he had the bye, so he didn't play in the first round. But no deaths at all in this guy.
Breaking records too, okay?
What records did Zephyr break again?
Yeah, tell us.
Something to do with deaths. Obviously,
Nutty.
we're referring to Nutty's Thresh game, where it was just probably the most unfortunate game to see Nutty play.
0-12.
0-12.
A broken man in Game 3.
It's not his fault. Team Fish Taco clearly was paying him. I don't blame him entirely. So, but anyways, that being said, no, I mean, is there anything we want to kind of add to this though, in regards to the Team Fish Taco Zephyr matchup?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Team Fish Taco. No, it's okay. Team Fish Taco was definitely the most exciting team to watch. They definitely lived up to the hype that I had for them, and they continue to be my most exciting team going into the semis. I'm really, really excited to see how they do match up against Akuma Blades, which are their opponents on Saturday. I'm lucky enough to get to cast that series too, so it's like all lining up for me. And yeah, like they lived up in the best way possible. They played the meta super, super well, and the adaptations that they had to the meta worked out in their favor quite a bit. Of course, we saw them play the Nautilus 3 times in a row. They had the Mordekaiser victories twice in a row, and then it got banned in Game 3. they really looked like everyone came up to play into this series and really outskilled their opponents in the best way possible. Of course, Furious Doctor and Indigo in the bot lane were the shining stars here, but Austin stepped up really well. Ace Ties was solo killing Wiederum on the Mordekaiser a lot, and then of course Prappa with his synergy and Furious Doctor just getting these plays. It was just the dream team come alive here in this series from Team Fish Taco.
Yeah, it was very nice to see Jarvan go back from the support lane to the jungle. And I think that was the best thing I saw of the series. But what we saw was them use aggressive flex picks.
That was the other series. That was the next series.
Yeah, we got a last breath of fresh air from the Jarvan jungle before we dove into the Jarvan support.
But we saw them use aggressive flex picks to win out the draft, and it was something that we didn't see Zephyr adapting in draft. And I think that was a big hit to them coming into these games. And, you know, their champ selection just wasn't as powerful and synergistic as, say, what TFT brought to the table.
Yeah. Gotcha. All right, well, one final question then before we move on for this series. Did Team Fish Taco live up to the hype? Did they surpass the hype? Or do you now have more hype for them moving forward? And do you have more hype for them moving forward?
I think they surpassed it, honestly. With their adaptations to the meta, adding on to their previous playstyle as well, I'm even more excited to see what they can show us against Akuma Blades. On the side of Zephyr, of course, we weren't really too excited for them, and we did think that they would lose. But considering their situation with the bot lane, I think it's fair that they did lose to this team that I still maintain is the strongest looking. So it's rough to see Zephyr go out this early, but I think it's definitely warranted, and they shouldn't feel too bad about it because Team Fish Taco definitely surpassed my hype personally, and I think that they're going to continue to go far, probably make it into the finals as well. Like, this team is super, super good.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Alex?
Yeah, so I would say they did surpass the hype, but I think it was just that effect of we haven't seen TFT play. What are they going to do? How are they going to adapt? And then they just come out with this, and they look so clean at what they did.
Yeah.
And for Zephyr, I will say some of the hype was taken just for the fact that we didn't see Zephyr on their A game. So, again, that's just, you know, I don't believe it was 100% TFT just outpacing their opponents. I think Zephyr had internal issues that made it a little harder for them to play up to their standards.
Gotcha. Well, for me,
but overall,
no, I feel you. For me, I think Team Fish Taco honestly just lived up to the expectations. I didn't think they surpassed them, just because, you know, we knew Team Fish Taco was a good team coming in, and we said that, you know, Zephyr's going to be very hard pressed to even take that game that we were predicting off them. Yes, they did put up a better scoreline than we anticipated, but I think Team Fish Taco is right where they belong in my mind in terms of hype. Easily a top 2 team in this tournament so far. We do unfortunately have to say goodbye to Zephyr. Zephyr did unfortunately take that L in the quarterfinal matchup versus Team Fish Taco. Obviously, you know, we hope to see them back next season. They did show a lot of promise, and we would love to see them come back stronger and really live up to that promise that they gave us early on in the regular season. So, au revoir to Zephyr Esports. All right,
and Soul Division as a whole.
Yeah, we'll get there, though.
But more on that in a bit. Now we have to talk about the demise of the body division.
Yeah, so
dun, dun, dun.
We're, of course, up next on the chopping block is, of course, SPK Embers taking on Dawn Revenant. Probably the biggest upset in terms of... you know what? No, I'll say second biggest upset. Probably the second biggest upset in terms of this quarterfinal weekend. We're, of course, talking about Dawn Revenant 3-1ing SPK Embers. What were your initial thoughts about this series, guys?
Well, I'm glad that my prediction for body division as a whole was spot on, in that we will remember Essentia as being the best performing buy division team. I said that before round one even began, because I had a lot of faith in Essentia and I had no faith in the others. And I was still disappointed by Ilarion, but honestly, I'm not disappointed by what SBK did, except for Yarg. As a support player myself, that was a rough series to watch from Yarg, man. The Jarvan,
Bro, he solo carried game 2.
he did not. He did not. The
The
paralysis.
AP movement speed Jarvan didn't carry the game? What are you talking about? I don't believe you.
Paralysis solo carried
I'm
game
so
2
tilted
for SPK.
still. I'm so tilted still off of it. It's so. Like,
Yo,
come
don't
to play.
don't let
Yeah.
Smax fool you. He asked to bring that out in Clash. Like,
No, I did not.
No, he didn't. No, it's not even a meme. No, he didn't.
I never playing that in my life. That was.
For me, SPK just didn't hit any of the marks that we've seen them best at. You know, Sir Razel was on weird champs like the Vladimir that he doesn't usually play, and he didn't show up on it whatsoever.
No, he didn't.
He didn't look comfortable on it. Sleepily was jumping around on different champs, but never had that lane dominance we're used to seeing him have. And that's a big part of what made SPK so dominant, is he could just roam around the map and help his bot lane and help all over the place. But he never got a lead.
Yeah,
And then Yarg
you
just
can go.
playing troll supports, you know, I mean, like, it didn't help.
I disagree that Sleeply is a lane player. I think that SBK they did try until game 4. They did try to play team fighting stuff, which is what got them to their undefeated score in Body Division. But it's just the teams in Body Division did not test them at all the whole time, which is why I had such little faith in them coming into this series against Dawn Revenant, who I heralded as the best team at disrupting team fights. And this matchup definitely lived up to that expectation for me. I think Dawn outplayed at every single turn, except for game 2, of course, where they just kind of ran it down a bit. But the other 3 games were so one-sided from Dawn, and I'm really, really impressed with how they showed up. Specifically, I have to give a special shout-out to Paralysis. I think that he played this series really, really well, especially considering he was with a mid-lane player in the bot lane. It was a really good series for him.
Yeah, but shout-outs to Arch, because Arch was playing amazing on, you know, like, he was playing so well for just, like, coming in as a sub, and we'd even see, like, that, oh, he's just kind of uncomfortable at first. No, he was straight up, it looked like they used this guy before and they were ready to play with him.
Yeah, he played the meta AD in Xayah, too. He played 2 games Cassio, 2 games Xayah.
The
He looked good
Xayah
at
looked
all.
sometimes was a little weird. The ult would go
yeah,
the wrong way, but
You could tell that he wasn't, like, an AD player, but he
did
still
his
pumped out
job.
the damage, yeah. And,
Well, I mean,
like,
if
a
there
lot of
was
credit to
a-
Paralysis there, too.
If there's an AD champion, though, that a mid laner should be able to play, I think it's definitely Xayah, just because she
Probably, yeah.
is a more caster-based AD carry. So I think that was smart of them to pick up the Xayah for him versus putting him on something like Caitlyn or Kai'Sa or, you know, one of those other options. So I agree. I think that was intelligent. Overall, for me, you know, I expected SBK Embers to take this series. I thought it was going to be close. I even predicted it on the desk. I thought it was going to be a 3-2. But this turned out to be very one-sided as I watched the series. It definitely seemed like SBK Embers was hurt by the new meta. It seemed like they were trying to play the champions that were the meta versus just playing their style of champions in the way that the meta demands of them, which was weird to me. Because normally,
Also, they just had no idea in game 4. They just didn't draft the meta stuff at all.
I don't think they played to the meta or to their own style. They didn't do either.
They definitely tried to play their own style.
Outside of Yarg, they played to the meta. Like, Vladimir's a very popular pick right now in terms of top lane, but you're right, that's not what Sir Razel plays.
To put on a team with a Zillion, Kai'Sa, and a Nunu? I don't get it.
I can't say that this team knows what the meta is based on game 4.
This whole thing is all AP drafting issues.
Yeah.
And then have no idea.
their drafts were just bad across the board.
Just bad.
Like, it's not even just the AP Jarvan. Like game 4, they picked Renekton after Spear was removed, and they picked Ezreal after Klepta was removed, both of which are really bad.
Yep.
And on top of that, they're not even good champions at what SBK are good at, which is team fighting. If they can get to that stage, their laning phase is not their strong suit. They want to get to these team fights, and when they're on those champions, they just can't do it. And like it was just super, super punished. Like special shout out to Tranquil for showing up on the Kindred games. I think he looked good on that champion.
Yeah, he did.
But his Nunu was really whack, honestly. Like
and something that was beautiful for me, just seeing on Dawn Revenant, was that usually it's the Arakra show where just Arakra carries everybody, but to this series looked like Dawn Revenant carried, not Arakra. Dawn Revenant.
It was all 5 of them. It was really, really cool.
And it just seemed like it's finally that point where Dawn Revenant hit that they just have that synergy and have that real team ability, and not even with their full squad. So impressive.
All right. No, I mean, Araka was definitely enabled in this series, for sure. But I mean, didn't we end up still getting Araka player of the series?
No, we gave it to Hubris.
No,
Hubris, that's right. I thought it was I knew it was either Araka or Hubris or Paralysis. I couldn't remember who it was. So let's
back,
let's talk about
by
Hubris.
The Hubris one. Go ahead.
Let's talk about Hubris then. You know, what did Hubris do so well in this series that we gave him player of the series? Because it was the 3 of us that did give him player of the series.
Yeah. He's the reason, alongside Ace Ties, why I think Mordekaiser is probably the best top laner, at least for this league. Maybe not in the meta as a whole, but Mordekaiser is the most threatening top laner to be up against in this series, thanks to how Hubris played it in Game 1. And we kind of saw it again when he got beat by it really bad against Sorizel's Mordekaiser. Granted, that game wasn't really his fault.
Going in a bad direction anyway. It was just bad early game calls that made the game go completely wrong.
But yeah, I really, really liked his Mordekaiser. And then also, his Ornn looked like it was very, very practiced. He set up the team fights very, very well. He was definitely the best Ornn of the quarterfinals, but there were only 2.
He didn't have much competition.
No.
Well, and what we're seeing him do is constantly shift back and forth between utility and lane control champions, and he's doing both well.
Mm-hmm.
And he's controlling games not just through solo laning, but team fights and helping out his team all over the map. So for me, that's why Hubert, he made so many plays. Yes, he had the bad game, but I think the whole team had a bad game.
Yeah, the whole team did.
It was just a mental wipe. Go next. Shout out, go next. And you know that's why things went the way they were. But Huber still played an amazing series.
Yeah. What I was about to say is that looking back, I think it's actually tough to say that he's far and away the MVP because of how good Paralysis did play. Of course, I think the reason I didn't pick him in the moment was because of how he almost
literally lost the whole game.
Yeah. But he looked really, really good in the other 3 games, specifically Game 3. His Taric,
I love that,
was the reason that they won that game, I think.
Taric is a super disruptive champion.
How many 5-man ults can he have perfectly timed?
It was so good. His Taric ults were amazing. Very good pick against SBK Embers.
Oh, definitely. Especially when you're picking against the team fight comp, you want something that's going to disrupt their team fight.
Yeah, they just dived in.
There's not better champion than Taric for that. So it was a really good pickup by Paralysis. He's definitely a huge component on why they won that series. But unfortunately, he was that component that lost them the game 2. So.
And that was when they adapted, because they picked the Taric because of the Jarvan that kept diving on them, and they picked the Taric, and then all of a sudden you saw the whole difference in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The main points that I have for Dawn Revenant is I think that they've been one of the best teams at adapting to the meta on this patch, but the biggest thing, and I think that they are the best at this, is that they adapted to the team that they played against the best of any team that we've seen so far. They knew exactly how to counter what SBK wanted to do. Granted, I think that they were already good at it. Like I said, and I have been saying this for weeks, their team fight disruption is very good. That's why they do play stuff from the jungle with the Nocturne and the Gragas. Nocturne, of course, was banned in every single game, so we didn't get to see that for Arakra. But he was still really good at it. And then they had the Taric as well. And I'm really excited to see what they can bring to go next in their series. I think that is a lot closer. It's going to be a lot tougher for Dawn Revenant to manage. But I think that this is going to be a really exciting series because of how good Dawn Revenant have showed to be at adapting to the team that they're playing against.
Yep.
And I think they have one of the best mentals as a team.
Yeah.
We're seeing them not get greedy when they're ahead. We're seeing them still play to expectation when behind. And even after a really bad game, they reset and they stay strong. And that's important coming into such like stressful situations that are coming in semis.
I mean, I don't know so much about the mental just because it didn't really seem like Dawn Revenant was pushed to the limit in that series.
That's true.
Their loss was purely their fault, so I think that's why they were able to reset so cleanly. It wasn't like, both teams are playing like perfect league and then they just got outplayed.
Yeah, but even making a big mistake like that, we didn't see Paralysis just give up and be like, oh man, until he came back, he picked something strong and he played amazing right after that game.
Sure.
So I think we need to give props to the mental.
Okay. I mean, shout out to Dawn Revenant though, definitely deserving of that win in that series. Any final thoughts before we move on to the next one?
Well, I guess this is a good time to insert this. We have the records of all of the teams, and you guys already know this, but we've combined them all. We can give a special shout out to both Body and Soul Division because they both did exit the tournament in this stage. Body Division did end 3-9, which is pretty rough, and then Soul Division ended 7-10 overall. Of course, Mind. We have the stats for Mind and Life, but they are still in the tournament, so we're going to save that for whenever they get eliminated, or even if they don't. But yeah, pretty rough end to the playoffs for Body Division as a whole. 3-9 overall.
Yeah, 2 wins for Essentia Storm, and then 1 win for the side of SBK Embers. Definitely lived up to the expectation that they were not the strongest division, unfortunately.
Right.
Okay, so let's Alex, any final thoughts before we move on to the next one?
No, I think I'm ready for the next series.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Oh,
so
it's getting hot.
This is the one.
The most competitive series, in terms of just overall like view of the series, outside of Game 4.
Even that to some extent, but
yeah. We'll get into it. We're, of course, talking about Recon 5 versus Akuma Blades. Now, all 3 of us had Recon 5 winning this series 3-0. This is the only series that we all got wrong. And wow, like...
We got it wrong.
Yeah,
like,
we really misjudged. Like... we thought this was going to be a clean sweep for the side of Recon 5. Instead, it ended up being a really clean series in terms of gameplay from both teams for the most part, in which Akuma Blades was able to come out the victor in 3-1 fashion. This entire series for me felt like it was on a knife's edge up until Game 4, but again, we'll get into that. Right. Yeah, I mean, let's start with Game 1. Smax, give me your thoughts from Game 1 of this series.
Yeah, so I was very, very impressed, and I knew that this was going to be a good series once I saw that it was 20 minutes in, and Recon 5 didn't already have the win unlocked. And what I mean by that is Recon 5 have shown that they are a ridiculously fast team. That's how they got all of their wins in Soul Division. They just ran over teams. Even Zephyr in the last week, they just completely ran them over. Akuma Blades were still in it at 20 minutes in, which is more than you can say for any team that Recon 5 had played up against up until this point in game 1.
Mhm.
At that point, I was like, oh shit. Akuma showed up. They have a chance. And then, of course, Recon 5 still cleanly won that game thanks to Rat Race's just ridiculous Vladimir performance. He was up against the Mordekaiser. We saw the Vladimir Mordekaiser matchup the night before go completely the opposite way. And then Rat Race does it. And you're just like, who is this guy? He just slaughtered everyone.
What's crazy is that was the first time the Mordekaiser suffered an L in playoffs. It was the only time, I think. I'm not 100% certain. I can't remember off the top of my head, but
I think that's true. Yeah.
I mean, so that really says something when you're the only team taking down a champion in all of playoffs so far, or in quarterfinals rather. So I think that's definitely a statement there for the side of Rat Race, in terms of like his stake in like where he should have been in the power rankings. But yes, Recon 5 did manage to take that game. But Alex, take me through game 2. What happened different? What enabled Akuma Blades to begin the slow and methodical takedown of Recon 5?
Well, the first problem was you didn't let Rat Race do the same thing he just did again. You put him in the mid lane, and it was more of a slow roll for him. Instead of being able to dominate Legoat James again, you put him in another matchup. And this is where it kind of became a problem to me, and they constantly put him on scalers as well. He's known for some really good picks, like his Aatrox, and we never really got to see that. So I was kind of confused why they kept trying to push him onto scaling when he was being so dominant in the laning phase.
Yeah. Another thing there is that Turtle, like this was the point in which I started questioning my pet Turtle a lot. He didn't gank Rat Race
he didn't
at all.
focus. He didn't focus his carry.
Yeah, he didn't go mid at all. He went top lane to try to camp for 2-0 on the Camille.
Me and Canadian talked about this in chat, and he was asking, he's like, why isn't he camping? And I was like, obviously he's playing Rek'Sai. He can't see who he's ganking. So he just gets there and picks a champ. So, but in all seriousness, it's just, first of all, don't push Rat Race out of top. Because you leave him on a semi-island versus mid where he's going to get way more focus because it's already close to bot side and dragon. You're forcing him to that side where he's going to be in team fights. You want him solo fighting the guy who has less mechanical skill than him. Yeah. It's just a fact. This is why I had him number 4. I know you guys had him. I don't think you guys even had him on your list.
No, he was on my list.
Was he? He was very high for me just because I knew he was a high mechanical player, and he does this kind of stuff all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So that was where they messed up. Also, the Camille pick, I didn't get it. I don't know what they were doing with that pick.
Yeah, the thing about it, he was losing in the side lane to Legoat James on the Cassio.
He was winning getting and then losing. He was winning and then losing, winning and then losing. Like he couldn't consistently do what he was doing.
That's
and
the
then
main
he was
thing.
just going in on his own without his team even setting up a play on the other side of the map. Again, why I would rather have seen Rat Race in the side lane, because Rat Race would have maybe played it well.
Right.
So questionable things on the side of Recon 5. I don't think they played to the win conditions correctly. Yeah. And that's the biggest part.
Gotcha. All right, Smax. I mean, take me through Game 3. What happened Game 3 that allowed Recon 5, or didn't allow Recon 5 to turn the series back on its head and really allowed Akuma Blades to keep going with this win?
So the biggest thing here was that at this stage of the series, I don't mean this as total flame, but also a kind of do. Lunar decided to start playing the game of League of Legends.
Yes, he did.
He started showing up in this game specifically on the Kaisa. He was doing so much. You could tell by the way he was ulting in and everything and just dealing damage that he had a lot more confidence on this champion than he did in the other 2 games. Of course, he was playing the Caitlyn in Game 1. He played the Xayah in Game 2. And in the following games, he played these shorter range late game scalers. He played the Kaisa and then he played the Sivir. And you could tell just the difference in how he was playing, how much more confident he was either on those champions or maybe just how the game was played. But Kaisa is Lunar's champion. I'm 100% convinced of this now after watching that series, or that game there. Look at the damage. He did the most damage in that game, and like no one else on his team even, like there was one person who made the top 5, and it was the tank Malphite, Lego James in the top.
Mm-hmm.
He put on the carry shoes in this game really, really hard, and I was very, very impressed from him in this series. And then let's not to take away from everyone else in the game. I think this one was a little bit lackluster from some carries specifically. I think that this was probably his worst game, even considering the one that they lost.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't even matter because Lunar was doing so well, and so was everyone else on this team as well. Like Fluke looked pretty solid on the Echo in the laning phase against the Syndra, which of course is a counter pick, so of course he's going to look good there. But Brash and the Nautilus looked super solid as well. But yeah, Lunar definitely takes the gold medal for this game.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching games 1 and 2, and I just went, "Where's Lunar?" Like,
Exactly.
It felt like they could have won those games 4v5 almost, or not won both of them obviously, but they could have won game 2 4v5, and then game 3 it was just like, okay, I think Lunar finally remembered that he's in a best of 5 series, and they need to win this. Because he really stepped up in Game 3. I was thoroughly impressed with Lunar's performance in Game 3. You know, if we were giving a player of the game each game, I don't think anybody could have argued that Lunar was the Game 3 MVP.
Yeah, 100% got it.
All right, so unfortunately after that, we of course had Riot still failing to make Clash work 100%. Because then all of a sudden our custom games went down, which was super unfortunate. We had about a 40-minute wait, and then things started to kick back off again, and we went into Game 4, and it looked like Lunar was asleep again. It looked like he cooled off after that Game 3 win and was definitely not looking too hot in the early beginning of it, going down twice relatively early. Alex, what happened from there, though? What enabled Akuma Blades to kind of close out this series?
Well, Akuma was able to close out the series because they put, again, their all-star damage source on Ornn. And it wasn't even a good Ornn. It was like the worst Ornn I've ever seen, and I've played in silver.
So we're of course talking about Rat Race on that Ornn, not Akuma Blades top laner on the
Cho'Gath.
So. Yeah. And then Lego James was just able to get huge leads because Rat Race isn't comfortable on this. He can't outplay him in a tank war. He's not going to scale as hard. Yeah, and then constantly outpace this game. They were doing really well, and then it was just mental boom across the board. It wasn't just Rat Race. It was the entire team getting picked out weird, just in weird spots, not making great decisions on macro. It just was a whole. It's like they gave the keyboard to the next person They're just like, here, you play.
Yeah, in all my questions about how Turtle was playing beginning in Game 2 and up to this point just all culminated in this really shaky Hecarim performance. It was,
and Hecarim in
really
general,
bad.
He didn't seem to. I don't think it was his kind of champ that he really plays.
I mean, he ended up doing the second least damage in the entire game that game on that Hecarim. Like, if that's not, like, Hecarim's a really good champion too in the current state of the meta. So I mean, the fact that you're the second least damage in the entire game kind of speaks volumes to me about the level that you were executing at on the day. Ornn, however,
but Akuma's side, I did actually really like their comp. I think they had a really good idea of what they wanted to do. They just wanted to kind of rush you down, whittle you down, rush you down, and then go for objectives.
Yeah.
So it was really
Lunar definitely
really nice.
showed up later. He had a pretty bad lane phase, but it definitely felt like.
Well, once they had a Cho'Gath with like 17 stacks at 5 minutes, Lunar could just do whatever he wanted.
It wasn't like 5 minutes, but
whatever, man, it was horrible.
Ornn definitely let that Cho'Gath run rampant.
Here's something I think is really funny. Their last game of the season was the most apt that Can't Carry's name has ever felt the whole season. Because he went up 2-0 and he couldn't carry. He had the most damage in the game on this Caitlyn, but he just couldn't carry his top side. I just think it's really funny.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It finally bit him for naming himself that.
I mean,
Yeah, he can change it to can't win.
this is the
God.
reason that we, I said that this was a really competitive series until Game 4, though, because Game 4, it started out competitive. You saw Recon 5's win conditions happening in front of you. Oh my God, Caitlyn's up 2-0. They're going to snowball this lane. It's all over. Like, Recon 5's going to bounce back. That cool-off period, that delay between the Game 3 and Game 4 is going to matter so much. Lunar doesn't look comfortable again. I mean, we were sitting on the analyst desk getting ready for this game to end in 20 minutes and just be like, all right, 2-2, boys, best of one time. And then we watched...
And then all of a sudden, off in the distance,
a Cho'Gath attacked.
it goes way to the side, and you're just like...
There were so many bad Ornn ults, and I hate to harp on Rat Race. I think Rat Race is a good player.
He's a great player, but just don't
holy
put him on tank.
shit! Like, the dude looked like he never played Ornn before.
Yeah.
Well, and so the reason I didn't think this was a competitive series, in my opinion, is because one, Rat Race was like put on the weirdest things the whole series, and was never been able to, like, he showed his potential on things that were scalers when he could have just had fast-paced, like, lane dominating champions, and then took his lead elsewhere. One, you're not utilizing your carries. Two, the rest of R5 literally did nothing. Rat Race was the only player in like every single game.
Well, in Game 4, like we were talking about, the bot lane was definitely the shining light, but they just couldn't.
Well, yeah, but in Game 4,
anything.
they literally mental boomed.
Yeah,
So,
you're right.
and that was only early game, because Can't Carry literally was starting to throw right after those 2 kills.
Yeah, I think honestly, if Rat Race was playing the Camille and 2-0 was playing the Rise in Game 2, they would have won that game.
Yep. I don't know why they did that, but and it is what it is, but that's just my thoughts on why it wasn't as competitive as it looked.
I think it definitely was the most competitive that we've seen so far. But
Oh, yeah, I could
For
say that.
quarterfinals, yes, but I think
It's
I think
definitely
for,
the most
just for the
competitive.
whole
No, it's
playoffs
been,
as a
been the
whole.
most competitive, but
You
at
didn't
the
think
same time,
essentially-
I don't think...
you didn't think the
It is at
Essentia
the
game was
level it should've.
more competitive?
I think this one was higher level play.
I think this was higher level play, yes, but I think the other one was more competitive.
I don't think you can say
but at
that
the
because Essentia
level-
just
yeah.
if you Game 5 of that series was way worse than Game 4 of
The
this one.
swing in those games were way worse than the swings in these games.
Okay.
Because the first 3 games were the most competitive games that we've seen so far. They were so close.
I agree with that.
All
The
of them.
first 3 games, it was literally a knife's edge.
They were, but at the same time, it's just from like what you look at when you look at what actually happened. It was like it still shouldn't have been close, just based on like what you're seeing these teams do, and what they're usually doing. And so for me, that was my problem. But I still know what you mean. It felt so close at every step in these
Right.
team fights.
And that's why this series shattered my expectations as a whole.
Yeah, it was great.
Because R5 and close have never been in the same sentence up until this point without the word not in the middle.
Yeah.
That's never been R5 at all. So that's what I was talking about when Akuma Blades made that first game close. I was like, oh, they can win this series. R5 are not the same team that we saw before. It just
Yeah,
didn't look the same. They
like,
could
picked
not
a lot of
close.
scaling too. Like they picked
Yeah.
a lot of scaling.
It was really weird, and I hate to say this, but like I think My Pet Turtle is in contention for the Dade Award based on this, because he did
He
not
played
show
like
up.
an animal and then literally did nothing.
He did not show up in this.
His Lee
series.
Sin game was good.
His Lee Sin game was good, but the other
He should-
3 were so
So
questionable
bad.
to where I just can't. I can't not consider him. But we can maybe do that in the question section, like the Dade
Yeah.
Award. But it was really rough from him, and he's usually like their star performer because he's usually getting everyone to these winning lane states, and then Recon 5 just washes the whole game. But Akuma did such a good job, and I have to shout out Some Carry for his performance. He's usually very under the radar when it comes to Akuma. Usually their team fights are where you have to watch and like Fluke and Lunar definitely did show up in those team fights, especially the games 3 and 4 for Lunar. But Some Carry did a very, very good job holding down the fort when it comes to My Pet Turtle. And I'm really, really impressed with him. And I'm looking forward to this player specifically when it comes to the semifinals.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I mean, I think that does it for our breakdown of this series. Any final thoughts before we move on?
I think I'm done talking about that.
All right.
I will say that I'm still pleased with how Recon played. I don't think that they can be too disappointed in themselves for the first 3 games anyway.
Mm-hmm.
If they forget about the game 4 and they look at those first 3 games and they really look back at what they could have done, I think it's just very small things that would have won them that series. If they just fixed a few things in games 2 and 3, they would have just gotten the 3-0 that we were all expecting. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what these 5 players can do moving forward, because I still stand by all of us having this team in our top 2, expecting to win the whole thing, because they looked really, really good.
Oh,
And
I'm happy they came back. They showed that they're ready to play again, and stop forcing themselves onto what people think the meta should be, and putting things that are comfortable to them, and them playing around each other, because that's what they're so good at. They're a team at the end of the day. They're so good as a team.
I mean, this is definitely another team very similar to Zephyr, where it's they had a lot of hype. They were a top 4 team. We had all these high expectations and high hopes for this team. And unfortunately, unlike Zephyr, they lived up to it more, or not unlike Zephyr, but they lived up to it more than Zephyr did, rather. But that doesn't change the fact that, unfortunately, this is where we have to say goodbye. But this is another team I definitely want to see back in PRA next year, Phoenix Rising Academy League, because they definitely can compete, and they can be a top contending team in that league.
Yeah, I'm sad that this. I still want to see Seoul representation in the semis, but it's sad that this team didn't do it. And I guess this just shows
double mental boom.
Yeah, this shows that Life Division is maybe the strongest, but this doesn't show it quite as much as the next.
Yep, definitely. All right,
do we have to go over it?
Let's go on to the next game, where the superior analyst was the only one to get this one right. PlaysFerDays, of course, taking the...
I didn't see Fury in here.
Nostradamus Fury.
I, of course, predicted the series to go next. Of course, I didn't anticipate it to be so heavily one-sided. But Go Next was able to take this series in a really convincing fashion, and it was definitely the most convincing of all the quarterfinals.
Yeah. Special shout out to Go Next for letting the 3 of us play some Clash and win our tournament on Sunday.
Oh yeah, thanks.
Couldn't have done it without you.
We literally got some nice stuff just from all the.
Dude, Clash was so fun. Oh
it
my
was.
God.
But we gotta focus on the series.
No, wait, we'll talk about it after. But seriously, when I looked at this game, this was the biggest disappointment, other than because Recon 5 is still played to a level that was acceptable. Asian Invasion did not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this, I don't know if it was just mental, or being outclassed in general. But you can't even talk about late game. You can't talk about mid game, because they didn't have an early laning phase. No. So if I can't talk about what happened after laning phase, there's no more game.
Yeah.
They were so defeated in laning phase, they didn't have the gold to even fight.
Yeah. This is I think a good time to slot in the meme question that Tron sent us, where after watching this series, does draft even matter? The answer is yes, but they just outskilled Asian Invasion at every turn here, and it just was not close in terms of skill difference. And whether it is mental, whether it's something else, the draft may have looked close in some regards. And game 3 was even a troll draft of sorts for Go Next. But they just outskilled Asian Invasion in the laning phase, and just everything about the series was so one-sided that I even forgot when I was saying earlier that I thought that TFT was the most one-sided. this one was definitely the most one-sided series
It was
for
very
sure.
one-sided.
I mean, special shout out though to Asian Invasion for even getting
Yeah,
this
like
far.
when you are so like far ahead of your opponent that you can play like 4 people on off rolls in a game, like I don't know, man. They're the defending champions for a reason. I'm really excited for Go Next now. I'm sorry that I predicted against
And
them.
I
honestly, after that.
had the series close, but
Yeah.
Go Next showed up, and Asian Invasion did not. And for me, it's just so hard to talk about anything because Go Next completely shattered this team.
Yeah.
There's no macro. There's nothing. It's just laning phase was so dominant. That's how they lost all 3 games.
I mean, I said it before the series that I said it rather last episode of the podcast and before the series even started. I don't understand why everyone's drinking the Asian Invasion Kool-Aid. I think Asian Invasion is a good team, yes. I think they improved massively since last season, where they didn't even make playoffs. And then this season, it was super close, but they managed to be the best team in the final weeks to be able to clinch that spot. And props to them. And then they even won their round 1 match. Like, props to Asian Invasion for making it as far as they did. But, I mean, Go Next just looked like they look like the
level.
They look like the most dangerous team.
Yeah.
They did.
They're just playing with their food, honestly, in this.
They were. Yeah. There's like 3 times where they could have ended, and they're just like following them around the map.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was a pretty uncontestable series, unfortunately, for the side of Asian Invasion.
I wish I had more to talk about, but it's not. There's nothing to analyze.
No, not really.
You need to go back to the basics.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what Asian Invasion can do if they stick together, and I think that they 100%. You can't take away that they do deserve to be in the quarterfinals.
They've been doing such a great job.
Yeah, they probably could have taken down Zephyr and SBK. I think that's pretty fair to say.
Well, SBK would have been the only one they could have faced.
Well, yeah, I know, but I think they made a case for being the second strongest Seoul Division team by the end of it. Even though, of course, both Seoul Division teams that we're talking about did get clean swept, with our R5 having that close series where they took a game. But
all three,
I think that's fair to say.
All 3 Seoul Division, Seoul Division had 3 teams representing in quarterfinals, and all 3 took a fat L, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I think Zephyr's was the fattest. and then Asian Invasion, and then
I think Asian Invasion was the fattest.
Asian Invasion got
okay. I think. Dang it! I think you're right.
All right. Well,
either way, I think Go Next just looks so good.
No matter what, Smax is always drinking that Kool-Aid.
I like Asian Invasion, man.
Either way, unfortunately, this is the end of Asian Invasion. I hope
they were the fattest L.
I hope to see Asian Invasion come back next split and improve. I mean, this split was all about improving, and they were continuously improving throughout this split, and it showed. And that's why they were a quarterfinal team, and that's why they deserved to be here and be in that top 8. But unfortunately, they weren't good enough to make it into that top 4. But I want to see them come back next split. I really do, and I'm so excited for the growth that Asian Invasion showed throughout this split. That's why I personally got into the running this organization with Canadian Champ when we first started it up, was to help people grow as individuals and grow as teams, because if one person grows, it helps the whole community grow. And Asian Invasion really grew so much, and I was really happy with that. But again, unfortunately, this is where we do say goodbye to them. Any final thoughts before we move on to the semi-final matches?
Well,
I'm good.
Pour one out. Pour a jug of Kool-Aid out for Asian Invasion here.
Take a sip, 1 or 2 on the way out.
Yeah.
No, dude, you got to pour out the chai tea for the Asian Invasion squad.
No, it's the Kool-Aid.
It's the Kool-Aid that we've been drinking.
I regret starting it. I could have said chai tea this whole time.
Yeah. I'm happy with where they've come here, and even though they did get clean swept in the most disrespectful of ways, I'm happy that they made it this far, and I stand by my Asian prediction and my Asian invasion confidence. I think that they could have. I don't know. They probably couldn't have beat Go Next at the end of the day, but they could have put up a better showing if they weren't a bit mental boom, which I think they were. Like it didn't look like the same team here, but
Gotcha.
that's just a test to how good Go Next are, and I think I was definitely sleeping on them. They look very good coming into semis.
Superior analyst. No, but in all fairness, I of course did get that SPK Embers prediction wrong, and all three of us, of course, did get that Game 3 prediction wrong between Akuma Blades and Recon 5. So, rough weekend all around in terms of predictions for the three of us. I think we all went 2-2.
Yep,
So,
I went 2-2.
Yeah.
all right, well, let's go ahead and move on to the semifinals matches then. So semifinals up first on Saturday due to a rescheduling, just because that we're allowing because it is semifinals and finals. This is the only time we ever allow any kind of rescheduling because we want to make sure that these matches get featured and that they're everyone's able and ready. So for this one, we have up first Team Fish Taco taking on Akuma Blades. This was another one of those, this could be a finals matchup. I think there were 3 matchups that we predicted could have been finals. It was Team Fish Taco versus Recon 5 or Akuma Blades, and then it was Recon 5 versus Akuma Blades. Any combination of those 3 teams was what a majority of us predicted for finals. And we get to see it here in semifinals.
It's finally that time where you have to say goodbye to one of these really strong teams.
Yeah.
We're like forced into a corner.
Now, I was super critical of Akuma Blades before they played Recon 5, and I was critical of them because they didn't look good in round 1 of playoffs. And I said that if they continue to play at that level, Recon 5 will smash them out of the park. Akuma Blades improved massively between round 1 of playoffs and quarterfinals, and I can't wait to see how much more they can improve because I think Team Fish Taco is just a whole different animal than Recon 5.
Yeah. It's a testament to what we were talking about with TFT and Recon 5. We all agreed as our top 2 teams. Akuma have to play both of them back to back, which is brutal.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness! After barely squeaking in to the quarterfinals to begin with, they had to reverse sweep Essentia. They're rewarded with the top 2 teams as their opponents.
Dude,
if
you told me this from the future, I'd be like, "You're not from the future. Get out of my face."
All right. Well, we unfortunately have the displeasure of saying goodbye to one of these 2 teams in the next couple days, but we got to talk about it anyways. What are our thoughts? What are our predictions? What's our mental state about this series? So, Alex, I'm gonna start with you this time. TFT versus Akuma Blades. Who's gonna take the series and why?
Okay. Well, it all starts somewhere, boys. I gotta say TFT takes it, and there's a reason.
I don't know what it is yet, but I have one.
No,
did it start with the letter A and then end in Furious Doctor?
Well, so we know the strength, and we're talking about strength of players. Both sides have strength of players. I think the mid lane for the side of Akuma has, I think he's a stronger player than the side of TFT. But on the bot side, and then in the jungle, I'd have to give it to the side of TFT. They just synergize so well. They play so well around their bot lane. They play so well as a group, as a unit, and it makes it so suffocating in these games to get vision, to get plays on the map, to get up close to objectives, that it becomes so hard you don't even contest anymore. And we've seen a lot of up and down from Akuma. We haven't seen that from TFT.
Yeah.
So I'd have to give it to TFT just because we know what we see. We like what we see. They're going to keep giving it to us.
So, what was your scoreline prediction?
Ooh, scoreline prediction? I'm going to go 3-1.
Okay. All right. So I'll go next, and then Smax will let you go first for the next series.
No, we're not talking about go next.
Got him.
So for me, I got to take this series 3-2. I think it's hella close. I think it's literally going to come down to the smallest of margins in Game 5. I think it's going to be about who makes that final mistake that really seals the deal for him. I got to take TFT, though. I think TFT dominated their series versus Zephyr. And Zephyr was the one team that was competing with Recon 5 this whole time. And then let me bring this back around. I promise it's working somewhere.
Ooh, this is like a full court.
Yeah, they dominated Zephyr super cleanly, and then Zephyr was the only team competing with Recon 5 for that top spot in the Seoul division, and then Akuma Blades still managed to lose that game to Recon 5. So I think in terms of just raw comparison, I think TFT is going to be the team that takes it, but I think this is going to be a really good series. I think Akuma Blades is super good at adapting to facing their opponents. We saw it in the Essentia series. They were able to hold on. Yes, that was more Essentia losing than them adapting, but we saw it on the Recon 5. They made Recon 5 play their style, and if they're able to do that same thing to Team Fish Taco, I think they definitely stand a chance to win the series. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think this entire meta right now is dictated by the jungle and the support. I think those are the two most important roles in enabling the rest of the team to really find that success. And we've said it before and we'll say it again. There is not a better jungle support duo than the one that lays at the side of Team Fish Taco.
Yeah.
Word.
Smax?
All right. Let me take you on a journey here. So,
are you gonna go full court too? Because they were born in 2000.
to begin our tale of Team Fish Taco Akuma Blades, we must first look back at our top 4 teams' predictions in episode 4 or 3 or one of those, where I predicted that Akuma Blades would be first, and I didn't have TFT on my list. They were 5th for me. We were top 4, so they weren't on my list. And the reason that I did that is because I predicted that Team Fish Taco would not be able to keep up the same consistency that they had in a best of 5 because they were pretty linear. They typically did just play around Prappa and Furious Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
The new meta suits that incredibly well. Furious Doctor and Prappa looked so good against Zephyr. And Indigo, of course, was the beneficiary there. He did not die a single time. And he is definitely my highest underrated player coming into the tournament. And now I think he is in my top 5 players at this stage of the tournament. I think Indigo has proven me wrong in the best way possible. And I'm really high on Indigo. And I think this team is really, really good.
He's high as giraffe pussy on Indigo.
So Team Fish Taco have surpassed my hype of them by a long shot. I said last episode that I think that they are favorites to win. Going back to what I said in that episode where I talked about the top 4 teams, I think that Akuma Blades looked the strongest at that stage of the tournament in PRL in Fall Split 2019. I think that they have achieved that strength again and surpassed it in their quarterfinal against Recon 5, who I thought was the second best team, Recon 5. And the way that they beat this team, they shattered their mental enough to where they put Rat Race on Ornn. I have so much confidence that this series is going to be incredibly close between Akuma Blades and TFT. I still stand by the TFT looked the strongest at that stage. I have changed my opinion. I think Akuma Blades are now the favorites to win the whole thing. And I think Akuma Blades take it 3-2 in the Battle of Wits. And I think that their adaptation in Best of 5 series is going to be the thing that closes this series out. I would not be surprised if it was a reverse sweep again, because Team Fish Taco looks so good. And this is not in any way me underestimating TFT's ability. If on the contrary, I think that Akuma Blades looks super, super good based on the series against Recon 5. And I have like shot my confidence for them up to the moon where it was when we made that list in the first place. And I think this is going to be remembered as the finals before the finals. And this is going to be the best series that we see the entire time, where Akuma Blades do get it in the end.
Gotcha. All right. I mean, so we have a little bit of a split on the analyst desk. Rather on the Plays podcast. We got 3-2 and 3-1 for Team Fish Taco, and then we have Smax with the 3-2 for the side of Akuma Blades. I think this is going to be
with a sprinkle of reverse sweep.
Yeah. Taking a page out of my book with the reverse sweep prediction. Didn't pan out so well for me, unfortunately. But no, I mean that just shows how close this series is going to be. Super hyped. Can't wait to watch this one. Up next, however, we have Go Next Gaming versus Dawn Revenant on Sunday. Hopefully, it's one of these series is another quick 3-0 so that we can make Clash again. But regardless,
we're making Clash.
At least on Friday.
Yeah, at least on Friday we will be present in the Clash tournament. Tier 3 yet
Watch
again.
out.
Shout out to Lemons.
Shout out to Lemons and Andrew. Helped us secure that win. Currently, Phoenix Rising staff is undefeated in Clash. Thank you to Asian Invasion and Go Next Gaming.
And no, we're not looking to join teams. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. Heartbreaking for all of you. We're going to be starting our own team and competing in PRA Academy next year.
Yeah. We're going to do the analyst desk and play at the same time. That's going to be our gimmick.
Yep. Remember, if you beat us, you automatically forfeit the rest of the tournament.
What do you think they should fix? I'll show you what they should fix.
But in all seriousness, though, up next is Go Next Gaming versus Dawn Revenant. Smax, I promised you could go first this time around. I know Go Next Gaming is waiting on bated breath for your prediction on this series. Let me hear it. Let me hear it and why.
They seem to like my predictions a lot, or maybe dislike them a lot, because I always predict against them. I was thinking about it, predicting against them again, and I can't bring myself to do it this time. After what they did to Asian Invasion. I think
I still have nightmares.
I think this is. I'm really similarly to Asian Invasion. I think that the Dawn Revenant's a very similar team where they have ramped up to be a much greater force than they were at the beginning, and their teamwork is really, really good. But after watching what Go Next did to Asian Invasion, it's gonna be another 3-0, guys.
Wow.
Go Next looks so good. Right. I'm really sad to say. Just as sad as I was watching Asian Invasion, but I've really enjoyed watching Dawn Revenant, and I think that all 5 of their players have shown up at this stage of the tournament. I think that before it was mostly just Arakra, but all 5 of them look really good. Actually, I take it back. All 6 of them, because you count Arch. He looked really good in their quarterfinals as well. Double B and Arch both look really good, and the other 4 players that have been consistent look amazing. But we watched what Go Next did to Asian Division. We all watched that.
All right, so we know
It's
Smax's prediction. Sloth, what about you?
All right, for this, we'll have to tell a story.
Take it back.
There once
when
was a
Tron
team
was
called Asian
born.
Invasion.
Take it back
We
to
thought
the
they were
birth
ready.
of Tron in
And Tron said,
1991.
"What is meta?" But in all seriousness, they're looking really strong.
Tron works
Go
as an
Next.
engineer. He doesn't have time for any of this, man. Like,
Oh, yeah, he has a real job. So they're looking really strong. They look really clean. And Dawn Revenant, we saw in their series, a big reason why I don't even give them one game in my 3-0 prediction for Go Next is because when we watched the game where they made one screw up, and lost the entire game in about 5 minutes. That's what scares me the most, is that they're going to, Go Next Gaming will find you in those mistake areas and capitalize like that. They will not hesitate. They will force you into situations like that, and then they will take over the game with it. We saw it. They did it. It's going to do it again. 3-0, Go Next Gaming, nothing else said.
All right, so it's my turn to tell a tale. So flashback to last weekend, or last episode of the podcast, rather. We all predicted 3-0 Recon 5, and then it didn't happen. Not even close. We didn't even get the team that won right. So I am predicting Go Next Gaming, but I am going to predict it a 3-1. I think that Go Next Gaming is on just a different level from some of these ramping up teams. We kind of haven't pointed out that Go Next Gaming has been slowly ramping, but they definitely have. I don't think you can argue that. Go Next Gaming took an L early on in the season to the side of Akuma Blades. And then they took another L to Akuma Blades again later on in the season. But we've slowly been watching them get better and better and better and better. And I think it's gone so far. I think it's so gone.
Practice.
Yeah. I think it's gone under the radar because of the fact that, they were a very winning team. So it's not as obvious as teams like Dawn Revenant and Asian Invasion. But I do think that Go Next Gaming has also been ramping. And I think that they're just a different animal than what Dawn Revenant is ready to face.
Yeah.
I do think Dawn Revenant will be able to punish some of those mistakes. I think if Go Next Gaming tries to have another troll game like they did in Game 3 against Asian Invasion, I don't think that Dawn Revenant is going to have that level of mental boom. I think that they are going to be able to take a win against
I could agree with that.
But overall, I mean, I can't predict seriously against Go Next Gaming too heavily. I am going to take 3-1 on the Go Next Gaming train. With that,
I think the reason that their improvement has gone under the radar a lot is because they were last season's champions, right? They started at the top coming into this, but they have improved. And yeah, it's definitely really good to see. I had a lot of confidence in Asian Invasion because I'd already seen them on the patch, but Go Next just showed up with the same level of play that we've seen, and more so on the new patch. So I'm really looking forward to see them do the same thing to Dawn Revenant, honestly. I guess I'm probably going to be sad because Dawn Revenant, I've really been enjoying watching them, but yeah, I really, really just admire the strength of Go Next's laners and everything, and it's really impressive.
Gotcha. Alrighty, well, let's move on then. That does it for the semifinal matches.
One more thing. I do want to just really quickly. Sorry, I just really quickly want to say I really hope Double B will be there for this next game.
If he's not, if not, they have March.
It was very unfortunate though that they didn't have full roster. I never want to see a team without their starting roster. No, yes, definitely. They look good, but I want Double B to be there. It's a very important game.
Absolutely. True. All right, so with that out of the way, then that does it for semifinals. Let's move on to everyone's favorite segment, in which they ask us a bunch of troll questions and we have to answer them. Up next is, of course, Tron and Starling's question about does draft still matter after watching the Asian Invasion Go Next series. So
I can give you a clear-cut answer.
Yeah, so we said at the very when Tron was on that draft matters when teams are relatively close in terms of skill.
And it matters less and less the bigger the difference is.
Yes, and that's what we saw. And it's super unfortunate because Asian Invasion, great team, but unfortunately Go Next Gaming just on a different level. So yes, draft matters, just not in a series in which you're head and shoulders above.
Same with Zephyr too.
Yep, absolutely.
They're not going to give up on this draft thing either. I
No,
swear.
I know they
Yeah.
hate
But
the
we
fact
answer it
value
right
draft.
every time. That's okay.
Now,
You keep bringing it though.
A clear example of this is SPK against Dawn Revenant. I think those teams were a lot closer in skill, but SPK had some of the worst drafts I've ever seen in my entire life.
I don't know, man. I've seen
Harder
River Shen, dude. Like,
River Shen would have been better than support.
Yeah. River Shen
I
actually was
disagree.
better.
I think that
Okay.
AP Jarvan.
I mean,
that AP
Hey.
Jarvan caught out paralysis multiple times. That's all I'm saying.
Paralysis caught himself out multiple times.
All right. Well, I still vote that AP Jarvan was the MVP of Game 2.
Hell no.
Oh my God.
It was the MVP of Game 3, that's for sure.
Well, Plays will be on the podcast alone next week.
All right, so up next is so we've had a question kind of floating around for a long time, and we've been avoiding answering it. I think it's about time we broke out this question. And keep in mind,
Oh,
if
boy.
your name is on any of our lists, you are cordially invited to take place in our show match, in which we are deeming it Phoenix Rising All-Stars. So, if your name is on any of our lists, you are cordially invited. Make sure you let us know. We'll ping all the players when we launch the episode of the podcast. So, be on the lookout for your name being specifically pinged for that. Of course, you would have already seen it because you're watching the episode. But you get my point. Don't think too hard about it. It makes sense if you don't think about it.
Yes, please DM us and let us know as soon as possible too.
Yeah,
'cause
if you're available.
we want to get it set up for you guys.
Alrighty, so with that being said, it's time to move on to the highly anticipated questions.
Ryan Goosling.
If aliens invaded the Earth and demanded that we sacrifice one PRL team to play them in a best of 5 versus their best League of Legends players, which team of 5 players would you send to fight for humanity as a potential sacrifice? I'm going to kick it off. Are you
going to go all 5
No.
players?
We're going to start with the support. We'll each give our support, and then we'll move our way up the list. I don't think there's any other support on this list. I'm, of course, talking about my boy Furious Doctor. That man is a very furious doctor indeed. He is a clinic on that rift, and I think he would put up a hell of a fight against these alien invaders.
Agree. Mine's Furious Doctor too. Are we going to do the stipulation that we're talking
Now
about?
I'm changing my answer. That's fine. You guys both agreed, but I'm going to change mine, and I'm going to pick Seawolf.
Seawolf's a good contender.
Seawolf's a nasty support. I don't care what anyone says. That guy is disgusting.
No, absolutely. Seawolf is very good. So I think Furious Doctor and Seawolf.
Flaming him about his Leona, and I'm like I can't even barely flame him. He's like literally amazing.
I love Seawolf. I think Seawolf is a great guy, and I love talking to that guy. However, I think that he is the 4th best support left in the league.
Oof.
Man, you have got to stop with this go next stuff.
Oh my
You're
god.
gonna literally you're gonna wake up. There's gonna be a note from Tron saying, "After I'm done with work, you're next."
I'm sorry, Seawolf. I appreciate your League of Legends playing.
Yes, police. I'd like to report a murder.
I think that the other supports are really, really good. But yeah, I'm no disrespect to the guy, no disrespect to you picking him.
It's okay.
But
It's fine.
You disagree.
All right.
All right, so-
of course, I mean, everyone has their opinion.
That means that Seawolf and Furious Doctor, you guys are cordially invited to join us in our All-Stars show match. Make sure you guys let us know if you guys are going to be able to participate. Up next, we of course have the top lane. Joke's on you. We're moving all the way up there.
I'm lost.
All right, no, we'll move on to the AD carry. AD carry's up next. Alex, I'll let you go first for this one. Who is your AD carry that you are picking for the All-Stars event?
Of course, I'm picking the guy who won't die because he ain't gonna feed. Indigo.
All right, I think Indigo is definitely a solid pick. Smax, it is all up on you now. Who is your AD carry?
I think this is a lot closer than just Indigo Smackdown. He's the one. I think that all of them look super good.
I could agree with that.
And I think I think with the way that Double B is ramping up, I think we do have the 4 best ADs remaining in the tournament.
Gotcha.
And I'm pretty confident in saying that because Double B has looked really, really good.
Okay.
But I am going to agree and say that Indigo is my choice as well.
Ah, I thought he was gonna pick Double B. All right,
No.
I'm gonna go with the only one trick remaining in the tournament. I'm of course gonna go with Lunar. Lunar on that Kaisa, just a completely different animal from all the other 80 carries. Unfortunately, it is only on that Kaisa pick. Hopefully, we don't see that banned away in the semifinals. We will shout out to the drafting coach for TFT and Gooseling. But in all seriousness, though, I'm going to pick Lunar. I think Lunar has had a great tournament so far. I think he is very underrated because his Kaisa is just so head and shoulders above the rest of his 80 carry picks. But I think he's an all-around. I think he's a pretty solid 80 carry. So that means Lunar and Indigo, you guys are invited to the All-Stars event. Make sure you guys let us know if you guys can participate or not. But now we have to make the trip up the river to the mid lane. Smax, who you
My
taking?
hometown.
Well, okay, but before we go into a third role, are we doing the stipulation where we only have 2 from each
We need
team?
2.
Yep, only
Okay.
2 from each team.
It has to be 2 from
That's
one
fine.
team.
No, it doesn't
Alright,
have to be
so
2 from one team. They don't have to be a remaining team in playoffs. They can be from any team.
Yeah.
But
I
the
just
max
can't
we can
Two
have on a
from the
team.
same-
Yeah, the
For
max is
instance,
2
I
from a
can't
team.
pick Austie here because I already picked 2 TFT members, right?
Correct.
Okay. So, my mid pick, and I don't think this is a hot take. I'm gonna go with Fluke. Similar to how he is on, he is still the second best performing player in PRL, and only behind Furious Doctor, who I already picked on this team. And I think he plays with his team very, very well, and he would be the perfect mid laner to send up to the alien invaders to stomp them on the rift.
You want to potentially sacrifice Fluke. All right, sounds good.
I mean, it's either Fluke or all of us. I think Fluke can beat him. So
Well, we can always just give Goose to the aliens.
take
They'll
our
be like-
alien.
They'll be like, he makes a lot of memes. We'll keep him.
All right. What about you, Alex? We'll work our way back to me on this one.
I think we have to give it to Tron.
All right.
Tron
like
has
it.
literally been picking some fire stuff, too.
So you're out of go next choices now.
Yeah, I am out of go next choices. But that's okay. We can work with that.
Trying to figure
right.
out something real quick. I'm trying to remember
Yeah, who
people's
the
names.
hell you want to pick?
No, I'm terrible with names. I'm trying to remember people's names. So I am actually going to agree. I think I'm going to take Tron. I think Tron has shown that he's able to also flex in down into that bot lane. He's
He
able to
hangs out
play.
with Kiwi. Of course he can flex.
Yeah, he's able to play the Pantheon. He's able to play all these different things. I think I have to take Tron just because it's so reminiscent to me of Sloth and Me, where we can kind of lane swap around all the time. So I'm going to take the man who can do that. I'm going to take Tron in my mid lane. So I got 1 from 3 different teams so far, so I'm still golden on this.
All right.
Wowzer.
All right. So this is what I was trying to figure out because I can't remember his name ever, and it bothers me because I think he's a great fucking player. I just can never remember his name. So we're
What
gonna
team is he on?
TFT.
Propa.
Propo, that's right. For the jungle. All right.
That's
so
your pick?
Is that your pick?
for jungle, it's gonna be
I think
Propo.
I know our pick.
All right,
I think
hold
I
on.
know our pick.
Hold on real quick because I forgot to do it. By the way, Tron and Fluke, you guys are cordially invited to the All-Stars event. Make sure you guys let us know if you're able to participate down in the comment section or in a DM. Either way, just let us know as soon as possible.
This will be on the 18th.
Yep.
That
Wednesday.
is a Wednesday. So make sure those days are free for you before you let us know.
That's for all 6 of you that we've already cordially invited. I'm going to add number 7 to that list. I'm, of course, moving back into the river, talking to the River King, Tom Kench. No, talking about Propa. Propa's going to be my jungle pick for the All-Star Alien Invasion team just because, again, I don't think there's a better jungle support duo than a Furious Doctor and Propa. So my boy Propa is headed to the All-Stars event.
Nice.
Smax, I'll hand it off to you
Max,
now.
are we on the same page here?
Are we?
I don't know. Are we?
I don't know if we are.
All right, well, what do you go
ahead.
first? Let's go. Smax, it's your turn.
I'm really divided on who I want in this spot because I think all of the junglers left are so good.
He's not wrong.
It's really, really tough. I can't pick Propa because I already have the Indigo Furious Doctor duo in the bot lane, so I can't pick him. And Alex can't pick Bishan.
Bishan's so good too. That's what's
so good. All of them are so good.
You guys should have planned out your lists better. All right, let's go. Let me hear it. Who's it gonna be?
I'm trolling.
Okay. I am going to pick Bishan. I'm gonna pick Bishan.
Right.
I'm not entirely confident because I want to pick all of them, but I am
I'm
going
going
to
with
pick
the
Bishan.
Rockra.
All right.
That was
Mr.
one of the
Young
ones I was
Talent.
gonna pick between.
Yeah. So that is 3 people invited. We cannot guarantee all 3 people can be in All Stars, but
Whichever jungler we get, I'm so excited.
yeah, either way, we're gonna have fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, so that means Bishan, Arakra, and
Hey, Propa.
Propa. Thank you. Like I said, for some reason, his name just won't stick in my mind. The 3 of you are invited to the All-Stars event. Depending on who gets back to us and when, will determine who goes, because we can, of course, only take 2 of you. That being said, we're going to move on up to the lane kingdom. I'm, of course, talking about the top lane. Alex, I'm gonna let you go first on this one. Who is your top laner of choice? Is it Rat Race?
As long as he doesn't pick Ornn, Rat Race, dude, you're in the top lane, man.
All right.
I really hope he is able to play because Rat Race is like just disgusting, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Definitely the best top laner in the league.
Yeah. I mean, I agree as long as he's not playing Ornn.
Yeah, just don't
But
please.
the Ornn has scarred me enough to where I am going to go with B and the
B-Way?
top lane for go
B-Way.
next. I'm gonna go with B-Way Bennett, bad boy B-Way. He's my top lane
So
pick.
you have 2 Go Next members, 2 Team Fish Taco members, and then an Akuma Blades player.
and Akuma. Yep.
Alex, what did you have?
I have 2 go next. I have one
R5.
R5. I have one.
Your jungler with Dawn Revenant.
Dawn Revenant.
Gotcha. All right. Well, who is
One TFT as well.
who is your top laner? Yours is Rat Race as long as he doesn't play Ornn, and Smax. Smax, what was
Actually, you
yours?
have to change your name to that, by the
Mine's
way.
B-Way.
All right, B-Way. All right, so let me tell you guys a story. So I gave my top 20 players list, and I put 2 top
He's
laners.
picking hubris.
I
Yeah.
put 2 top laners on my list. They got flipped in terms of which one was supposed to be where. I'm putting it in the correct order this time. I'm going with my boy Hubris in the top lane. Represent.
The caveat is he has to play Ornn.
Yep, he has to play Ornn. That being said, though, all right, so that's my top laner pick. So, all right, so that means Hubris, B-Way, and Rat Race. I'm
So-
terrible
so
with names.
terrible.
I'm terrible with names. Who are you again? You 3 are invited to the All-Stars event. Make sure you guys send us a DM if you guys are going to be available. It's first come, first serve. So if you're competing with 2 other people, make sure you get to us as soon as possible. That being said, boys and girls, that's going to do it for us here on PRL Plays Podcast. Smax, do you have any final words before we shut her down?
Well, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I'm super happy to be here and do the podcast with these gentlemen and talk about these games. I'm sure if you guys don't like my voice, then you're probably sick of it, and you probably don't even listen to PRL stuff anymore because I'm everywhere. But I just love it so much. I'm so excited to talk about it on the liftoff and the analyst desk and the cast and this. It's been really, really fun to talk about all of this season with you guys, and fall 2019 has been amazing. I cannot wait for winter. But before that, we've got the most exciting series so far on Saturday, and then also Sunday is going to be a clean sweep Go Next, of course, as I've predicted. I'm never wrong. I wasn't wrong about the last Go Next series either.
Lies! All lies!
I am very excited for both of those, and you guys better tune in to the live episode of the podcast as well. This is going to be really, really fun. I cannot wait to get all of your troll-ass questions in on the live Twitch stream.
We'll be keeping up with chat, so you guys just shove whatever you want out there, and we'll broadcast it.
All
That's
right.
gonna be so good.
Alex, any final comments before I give my outro? In addition to one more announcement that I have to make.
I'm just really happy that I know it's getting towards the end of the podcast for this split, and just having the three of us together. We've been doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes together. We've done our Clash teammate.
Make sure you tune in for PlaysFerDays stream. That way we
Yes.
can you can see our PRL Plays Podcast.
We will actually put the
Solok.
comms in there. Yeah, we do the
next
Pokemon
time.
now. We do the
On
Pokemon.
Friday, I'll be sure to
we
do
do
my
the Clash together. And it's just so fun to hang out with these guys. Great analysts. We're always having a fun time on the analyst desk as well. Just look for us. I mean, we're always around.
We're everywhere.
We're really excited to keep up the content because I think it's a great community. I'm having a lot of fun.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. I love doing this kind of stuff, and I've been happy to do it. That being said, that's going to be it in terms of their two voices. You have to suffer with mine for just a little bit longer, and then we'll let you go. So, I don't know if you guys watch a little thing called The Dive that LOL Esports does, but they do an entire award segment at the end of the season. That being said, we are going to be stealing that format, and we are, in addition to the live show in which we are going to answer all your troll questions as you come in and speak to us, we are also going to be doing a complete award section, meaning MVP, Dade Award, all that kind of stuff on that live edition of Plays Podcast, which means you get to flame our picks live. So when I pick Rulebook 69 is the most underrated player in all of League for this season, you get to flame me live. Imagine that. So
I'm good.
When he messes up the entire first part of the podcast, you can flame him live.
yeah,
people.
I mean, we have to do
cannot
3
redo
takes
it.
every time. 3
You guys may
takes
not know
every
this.
time.
This was actually take 47 tonight.
It was not. Stop it. It was only the third.
My
All right.
girlfriend left me. She knows I never see her anymore.
My girlfriend used to own that spot in Monopoly.
Oh, no.
All right, with that being said, though, that's going to do it for us here on Plays Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, it's been an absolute blast. We are looking so forward to doing the live edition of this on Thursday next week. That's the 19th, I believe. Let me double check.
Yep, 19th.
All right, 19th. So, get ready to see Aphelios in your solo... Get ready to see the Aphelios pick or Aphelios, or however you pronounce it, in your solo queue games, and good luck on the Rift. This is Plays Podcast, signing out.